Hi, folks. Rolla here. Tonight, Freddy Hudson's going to be with us, and maybe Donnie Dancer, I think, and another guy, Rick Simon, who watches the show every week and hasn't missed one yet. And we talked a little bit about when I talked about the cancer and my recommendation because it worked for me. Uh, Rick Rick followed up on that, and also he wants to thank some of the people with their comments um, that sent prayers and everything for Rick's mother. So anyway, I'll bring on Rick. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Larry.
Hello, you're live now.
Everybody.
Let me bring on Freddy too. Freddy, you're on too.
Hey, how you guys doing?
All right, Freddy's not coming on.
Freddy.
Freddy's. It's just going to be Freddy's voice. You all know what he looks like anyway, and I guess he's trying to get a hold of Donnie Dancer. So while all of that is going on, let me tell you why Rick is on. Rick is on, and also I'm going to go to the comments now because I want to see. If we just went on, but the reason Rick is on is because I mentioned that I refused to take chemotherapy when I had my problem. And the surgeon and the doctors at the hospital recommended that I do take chemotherapy. But I had experiences in the 70s and 80s with cancer, alternative treatments, and that whole bit. I mentioned this before, so I'll just go through it real briefly. I was responsible for congressional hearings. I was responsible for Dr. Burton getting to the Bahamas, and responsible for hundreds and hundreds of people who were given up for dead that are still alive today, including some in my family. So now, when it happened to me, I made arrangements to go to the Bahamas where Dr. Burton's clinic was. And the Dr. Burton's treatment is he rebuilds your immune system. He supercharges your immune system so it becomes just like a supercharged immune system, and it naturally kills any cancer cells in your body, and with absolutely no side effects at all. And I'll tell you very briefly how he did it, really briefly, because a lot of you's heard that whole story before, but I don't think Rick did. When Dr. Burton was working for all of these private cancer institutes, and they're all privately owned, he ran across looking for a cure for cancer. He ran, and this was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. He ran across two identical twins that had one had terminal cancer, the other one was cancer free, but they were both identical, same identical DNA, same everything, but one was terminal and one had no trace of cancer. So what he did was he extracted the blood from both of them, and he found that the blood in the brother that did not have the cancer had a protein in it that the other one didn't. So he extracted that protein, injected it into a malignant tumor, and the tumor disappeared within 3 minutes. That's very basic. That's the beginning of it, and everything else. Anyway, he refused to give that how he did it and what the studies were over unless he ran the whole that whole thing, and they said no. And he said, look, I saw too many promising cancer treatments alternatives get swept under the rug, and I realized that all you cancer organizations are all privately owned, and for 150 years the treatment has been the same for the last 20, 30, 40 years. It's chemotherapy, radiation, and nothing seems to work. Everything just stays the same. So he went on his own. And what I did was I supported him, me and my friend Davey Handel. We bought him a house down out in Long Island and set him up with all the equipment he needed. And he proceeded, he continued his treatments there. We made a deal with the Bahamian government, and they took him in. And during that time, we were trying to make, and that's why the congressional hearing came about. We tried to get him back into the States. We had a congressional hearing that lasted 3 days, and the government promised to send a team down to the Bahamas. As of today, they still never did. But during that period of time, I must have sent 100, 120 people down there that were terminal and given up for dead in this country, and they were all great results. Uh, so when I was diagnosed last year, I made arrangements to go down there. There's no problem. Uh, the whole treatment, you got to stay. The problem was you got to stay for 6 weeks. You got to stay down there for 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, you're basically leveled off and cured. So while I was waiting, while I was waiting uh, for my, because I couldn't go down right after my operation, a friend of mine contacted me and they told me to get in touch with this surgeon whose part of his treatment is ivermectin, and I did, and this is where Rick comes in. I contacted the number that was given to me. It was one of his nurses, and she said, "Send me all your lab reports and everything that you have." And they took a credit card for $400, and that 400 included uh, a 45-minute conference call, Zoom call with Dr. Meekin, and a 3 month supply of whatever he prescribes. So that's what I said to. That's what I did, and it was just days later I got it in the mail. The 5 things that he prescribed. They were ivermectin, two other parasite killing drugs, one heavy duty antibiotic, and one other thing I forgot what it was. Then he also said to me, he said, "Listen, I don't know what kind of shape you're in, but if there's a couple of other vitamins and minerals and other supplements that I could recommend, but if you want them, you'd have to pay. That's extra." So he recommended a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't want to insult them. I didn't want to. I don't know what, but anyway, whatever he suggested, I bought. So I paid $400 for the Zoom for the initial contact. I was able to send all my paperwork there. I got the Zoom call, 45 minutes with Dr. Meekin. He we talked about all my results. He talked about my treatment. He talked about my condition, and he prescribed what I said before. So, and I also bought everything else. He said that if I wanted, vitamins, minerals, all this other stuff that might help me if I was kind of run down. I didn't. I bought them. I never even used them. I just bought them. But so I mentioned that to Rick. I mentioned it right on the podcast, and Rick texted back to me in the comment section that he called. He got in touch with Meekin, and it was in the thousands, and he wanted to forget about it because it was a lot of money, and who knows where it goes from there. And at that point, because it was in the comment section, everybody watching the podcast from now until forever would hear this, and I didn't want them to think I was lying. So when I got a call back from when Rick, I gave Rick my phone number. I says, "You call this number, and because I'm not wrong." and he did call the number, and he wrote me, and that's why I asked him to come on tonight. So why don't you tell them, Rick, what happened when you made the phone call with Dr. Meekin's nurse?
Oh, okay. Hey guys. Hey Larry. Yeah. So, Dr. Meekin's nurse or somebody from Dr. Meekin's office called me, and this was the first call I made to them because Larry, you gave me this information to Dr. Meekin. I think about a month ago you texted it to me because I had asked you, and then I had looked. I went to their website. And I kind of got scared off from their website because their website does have some numbers on here. And one of the numbers that's still up there, it says like $2,999 and this and that. But you got to call them because, that particular pricing is if you want them to, do an MRI on you and do scans on you and do all this extra stuff that you may not need because you may be able to get all those things done from your local oncologist. I mean, if you have cancer, you're probably seeing an oncologist like my mom, and you probably already have scans done, and you already have blood work done. That pricing is if you didn't have any of that. So Larry's right. So that's why last week when we were on the show, I said Meekin's website says all kinds of thousands of dollars, but I had not called them yet. But yeah. So today, Dr. Charles Meekin's office called me back, and Larry's correct. So basically, that's how it works. It's a $400. It costs $400. They give you a 45-minute consult with Dr. Meekin. And they do want your blood work. It's helpful if you can send your blood work to them, like from your local oncologist. Like I'm going to send them my mom's blood work to them and any scans, and then they'll give you like a 90-day regimen of because I kind of want to get up for my mom what Larry had. Like the main thing is I want ivermectin for her because it's not just what Larry said, because even Mel Gibson and Joe Rogan were talking about that on their podcast as far as for cancer treatment. So the $400 consult they said it may include to give you the 90-day regimen of the ivermectin and all that, but it may be a little bit more. So let's say you're going to have the $400 consult, they said, and it may include a 90-day regimen, but it just depends on who the supplier is at the time because they go through a couple different suppliers. But that regimen could be there could be an additional fee for that regimen, anywhere from $150, they said, up to $600, possibly. It just depends on.
I paid the $600. Whatever he suggested, I paid for, but I just took the original 5 things. All the rest, I bought them, but I didn't use them.
Yep, they'll give you. There's multivit or B12. They may give you metformin, which your cancer patient may be like my mom's already on metformin, things like that to lower sugar. They go over they ask you what your exercise plan is. They give you they're helpful as far as that goes. But the main thing that what we want to do is get our blood work over there, do the consult, and get her on that ivermectin. But the point that I'm making is because I had said that I made a comment on the podcast last week that it's all kinds of thousands of dollars. It's not. Don't get scared off by what Meekin's website says, because there is a price on there that says $2,999 plus $400 here and $400 there. That's going above and beyond. That's if you have nothing, like you have no skin.
I think that's if what you said, that you went into him because you thought you had a problem and he would examine you from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I think that's what
that price is. If you have them give you an MRI, and if you have them do your blood work, and if you have them basically be your oncologist, basically that price is them being your oncologist without health insurance. So don't get scared off with that, because you're probably already working with an oncologist. Like we're kind of in between oncologists right now. That's a separate story. But if you can have your blood work done, if you got basic insurance, even Medicare, and you're seeing an oncologist, your oncologist is going to get your blood work. They do blood work every couple of months. They have to give you a copy of that. That's all basically Dr. Charles Mika needs is some blood work results, and then the consult, and then at most a couple $100, and you can try this regimen. Now I'm hoping for the same results that Larry had from my mom. Now I know with my mom, she has to have a surgery done because her breast cancer is a little bit metastatic, and she's got a big growth growing on the back of her neck, a tumor. So I know that has to be surgically removed. Now I had a couple of oncologists already look at that. We had a biopsy in December, and that came back as the breast cancer moving. I already had another oncologist look at it. See, they're not quick to do removals. It's like, okay, you see, this is, the biopsy came back as breast cancer. It's cancer. It's going to grow bigger. Cut it off, and let's get going. They're not quick to do it. You have to almost fight with them when it comes to cancer and getting surgery, because they were kind of telling us, it's not a simple thing of just cutting off a tumor back there on the skin, because it could get infected, or that can cause it to move in other places, and If it's not bothering her, leave it alone.
Rick, I'm getting very, very nervous just listening to all of this, because there is no way in the world I would have went to 15 different doctors. Because that's bullshit. When they give you an appointment that's 2 months away when you have a deadly disease.
Larry, that's what it is now. You can't you can't go to 15. It's like, if I were to walk into your house right now and uninvited, what would you do? If you had a gun, you'd shoot me. It's the same thing as going to the hospital now. You can't. You can call 20 doctors, and they'll all say,
what if you went into the emergency room? Go into the emergency room and just say, listen, I have this thing in the back of my neck. I have headaches.
Oh, they know what it is. They're going to say, hey, that's cancer. They're going to say, talk to your primary care doctor, talk to your oncologist. They're not going to touch it. They all know. So it's not a matter of, that's what I thought. You could just call to this doctor. I want to see you next month. No, they're not. They're not doing it.
I think that's terrible.
Yeah, it's like we're waiting.
I haven't had that
experience. The tumor is getting bigger, and it's like, it's not bothering her, but some days it bothers her, and it's not getting infected now, but some days it gets kind of leaky.
Do you have an appointment for that operation? I mean, it's
no, because the appointment that we have on July 10th is a brand new visit with a brand new oncologist. That's a medical oncologist, and so he's going to run the new blood work. He's going to run new blood work and all that, and I'm going to need him to make a referral for the surgery, because that's how it goes. The oncologist has to make a referral for surgery. A surgeon won't touch it unless he has a referral. So when I see him on the 10th, July 10th next month, I'm going to say, listen, you got to get it back on infusion, and I want you to set up surgery for this. Now, he could say no. He could say, well, it's not bothering her and it's not infected. Let me look at it for 3 months. And it's up to them.
Hey, Rick, can I jump in here for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Is it like this in other countries, or is it just the U.S.?
It's a lot. It's a lot of this is going on in the U.S. It's pretty bad. Now, we have a lot of family that live in England. We got doctors in our family that are in England. It's even worse there. I've got 2 doctors in our family in this country, and they can't help. They don't know. They say, yeah, it's going on everywhere.
That's it.
I wish I could just take her to ER and say, look at this thing. I wish I could show. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna bring my mom in to say hi to everybody really quickly, Larry, so I don't take up your time.
Okay, but before you
don't worry about it.
Before you bring Mom on, let me just suggest one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to call Dr. Meekin's office and
Mhm.
explain what you just explained to me, and see if he says, because if it was, I hate to say this, but if it was my mom, I would ask the doctor, the same girl that you spoke to, Dr. Meekin's nurse, and tell her that same story, because this has been going on now with that lump on her neck since December.
December.
December, January, February, March, April, May, June. I
And
mean, it's a
it's
joke.
growing. It's getting. It
Okay.
went from October. It was like this.
Now, why
I did explain that to her today. She didn't say anything about. I did explain the whole situation about this is growing and we need surgery. So she didn't give us any input on that.
Okay, yeah, but well, here's what you should do. This is what I suggest that you do. First of all, she's limited in what she can say or do. You call for a specific reason. You didn't call for anything else, and she probably couldn't give you any kind of medical help. But here's what I think you should do. I would call her back and say, and tell him who you are, and say, listen, does Dr. Meekin take insurance? If she says yes, if you have the insurance to pay for it, say, what if I bring my mom to where Dr. Meekin is? Can you handle this immediately? Because it's been 7 months now, and all that's happening is that tumor is getting bigger. Everything is getting bigger. The time is going by. The cancer is spreading. And all I'm going to do next month is get a recommendation to go see somebody else. That's going to take another month or two.
If he'll get, I'm hoping he'll give the referral to get that surgery, because
why don't you call Dr. Meekin and ask us, see if he takes that?
Well, I'll try, but just because I've been dealing with this for so long, Dr. Meekin's not a surgeon, right? So
No,
I mean,
how do you know he's not a
maybe
surgeon?
he could refer a surgeon.
Well, yeah,
He's
but
not our oncologist, right? He's not
maybe
our.
he can get things moving faster. I mean, at this rate, your mother's going to be 103, and you're still going to be looking for referrals. Rick, do me a favor. Do me a
The
favor.
fucking hospital here at Beaumont, like I don't, because we're in, you know, like I said, outside of Detroit Metro, and this is a big hospital. It's William Beaumont. It's called Corewell Health now. And back in the day, and you know, I talk about like how I kind of know you, your name, and these people. You know, back in the day, there was big construction people out here, and this goes back to like the Toco days, and Dominic Mashuri was a big construction guy over here. He built a wing on that hospital there, and he passed away now in 2018. This multi-millionaire guy, Dominic Mashuri. It's like, and I know his grandson. He lives in Arizona now, but it's almost like, hey, you know, like if Dominic was still around, maybe I could reach out to him and say,
All right,
you know,
but Dominic's not around. Do me a favor. Call up the nurse tomorrow and ask him just what I asked you. If Dr. Meekin takes insurance, is he a surgeon? Can what I'm going through be that whole process be speeded up into a timely situation? Just do that for me and then get back to me, all right? In the meantime, I want to say hello to your mom,
okay.
and also Sundance and Angelique is on here, and I know you wanted to say
yeah,
hello.
and they said, Mom, are you ready to come on? Come on, say bye. Who is he? Can you sit here? She's squeezing into my little office here. Sit here. This is my mom. Mom, this is Larry.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
How you doing, Mom?
Okay,
You look terrific.
thank you.
She's got a shirt that says, Mom must obey me. Yeah, so Mom, this is Larry Rolla. He gave us the information for this Meekin that you know, once we get you back on to oncology, they do have cures for cancer through ivermectin, like I was telling you about. So when we go to get your blood work and stuff done next month, and get this thing taken care of,
And you're gonna be just fine.
See, Larry here, he had cancer, and they took part of his intestine out, and then he had him put it back on, and he went through this Meekin, and he had all this ivermectin stuff done, and look, he's cancer free. So, and he's 84, right, Larry?
84, right?
84, and so they cured cancer for him. So you have a good chance, right?
No, she don't have a good chance. It's 100%. She'll be fine. She will be fine. And Rick, the only thing I want you to do is please make that phone call tomorrow that I talked to you about, and let me know, not only for me but for other friends that might, because this is an interesting conversation. Because everybody, now let me tell you something. I got lucky because I waited and waited and waited and waited until I was about to explode. Then my doctor rushed me into the hospital, the emergency room, and they told me that there's no time to waste. Your intestines can explode any second and you'll die of sepsis. So they brought me right into the emergency room. So I got a little lucky in that respect because I know the procedure. You go to see, everything is specialized now. You go to see one guy, then he refers you to another guy. That takes a month for an appointment. Then he refers you to somebody else. And then it's just crazy. That's why, Rick, I want you to make that phone call, see what they say, get back to me with that information so I could tell my friends that might have the same problem. And Mom, you're going to be okay. You're beautiful, and your son looks just like you.
Mom and Sundance on here and Angelique on here last week, they were saying they were giving you their well wishes and their prayers. So say thanks to Angelique and Sundance and everybody else, Eric and everybody else on the show. And thanks, Larry. We'll follow up. I appreciate the info, and I'll keep watching. Mom, are you able to turn around a little bit to see? I don't know if you can see, because the growth is can you see it? Oh, you probably can't see it.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty bad. Mom, can you turn around? This is where the growth is growing. And it seems like a little thing. All they gotta do is remove it. But they're afraid to remove a little thing. Like they're taking people's legs off, and they took Joe's kidneys out and cut him in half. They don't want to touch that.
You see that thing might have a root, and maybe that's what they're concerned about. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. All I know is that I would make that phone call tomorrow, explain it, and if I was you, I'd take a picture of that and send it to that nurse, and then make the phone call and send that picture while you're on the phone with her, and get Mom taken care of.
I will.
She'll be fine. But let me know how you make out with that call tomorrow. Mom, go back to watching television, and I'll see you. You'll be fine.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Larry.
I'll wait for your call in a day or two, Rick.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Tomorrow's Saturday. Oh, no. What's tomorrow?
Friday.
Tomorrow's Friday. Make the call,
Friday
Rick.
the 13th. But, yeah, I'll call.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you.
I'll keep watching, too. Thanks, Larry.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Freddie, it's me and you.
Hey, Larry.
That poor guy. Did you see the size of that?
Yep.
Unbelievable. And they've been looking.
Kind of like very similar to my mother once, with hers on the back of her neck and stuff. It makes me sick.
And according to Rick, they've been looking at that when it was little Pee-wee thing since December. I mean, maybe they're waiting for it to be as big as a head. Unbelievable. But, I'm not
the system just is so screwed up nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. So,
sad.
But
anyway, I guess Donnie ain't coming on, right?
I guess not. He didn't get back to me, and like I sent him a couple of messages and so forth. And so I did talk to him a couple of days ago, and he did plan on being here. So
all right. If he shows up, he shows up. If not, he don't. Why don't you? Let's see.
Well,
I got
on this week's show. We had Don Tiger on, and he gave us a little bit of an update on the legislation that's going on between him and I guess New Jersey, the New Jersey Racing Commission, and everything on his litigation with Charlie May, the 2021 winner of the Meadowlands Pace. It's going back from he wins a case in the court. It's appealed by the New Jersey Racing Commission. He wins a case. It's appealed by the New Jersey Racing Commission. It just keeps on going back and forth, back and forth. And we're talking about from 2021. So it's moving up to the next level. And he'll probably win this case. And he'll probably end up in the New Jersey Supreme Court or the Supreme Court of the U.S. I mean, that's where it's headed.
Yeah, I have the logo you sent me, Harness Racing Alumni logo with Don Tiger's picture on it. And it says on this week's Harness Racing Alumni Show, we are joined by Standardbred breeder and owner Don Tiger. Don gives an update on the continued litigation on his horse, Charlie May, who was disqualified after winning the 2021 Meadowlands Pace. Tiger also discusses his current status and plans for the small racing stable, all on this week's broadcast. Right. Why don't you tell the people what this is all about, how it happened, what happened in the 2021 Meadowlands Pace?
Okay, in the 2021 Meadowlands Pace, they're coming off the last turn. Southwind Gentry, driven by Yannick Gingras, and from what I could hear, I actually sent you the race video. I don't know if you got it and you can play it or not. But Yannick's horse pretty much comes to a standstill stop coming off the last turn. Brett Miller, who's driving Charlie May, has to pull on his horse and basically goes out and he interferes with other horses to avoid running into Southwind Gentry, who pretty much came to a standstill. And the satellite pads that they have, that they put these GPS systems in the satellite pads, verify that Southwind Gentry came to a standstill. And so Charlie May wins the race, and he's taken down as him being the cause of the interference. And I've had presiding judges look at this, and they basically say he should have never come down. They should have reviewed it more. Peter Koch was the presiding judge. I love Peter, by the way. He's a great guy. And I think that he was under pressure to make a call too quick because it was being broadcast on Fox. If you watch the Fox broadcast, you have Dave Brower and Dave Little. They both watched the broadcast. And they watch the race, and they both basically say, well, they're going to have to make a decision as to who caused it, whether it's Southwind Gentry or Charlie May. And before anything, they basically blamed it on Charlie May, and they took him down. And I don't think he should have come down. I think it should have been reviewed, and many, many other people feel the same way. And if you got the video and you can show it, watch the race.
Did you send me that video?
Yep.
When did you send it to me? When did you send it to me?
Probably today, sometime about 1 o'clock, noontime, something like that. So,
well, you know what happened, Freddie? We almost didn't have a podcast because StreamYard was out all afternoon, and it just went back on just maybe an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. And I because if you sent me that, how'd you send it? Email?
Yeah, but yeah, one of the things I'll say is one of the things that was really strange about it was when the appellate court ruled in Don Tiger's favor, he watched the Fox broadcast, and he didn't watch the racetrack broadcast. He watched the Fox broadcast, and he listened to what the announcers had said, and in that broadcast, it really clarifies. It says, well, they didn't know who had caused the interference, whether it was Southwind Gentry or Charlie May. And I think it should have been reviewed longer, but yeah. And so that's just my personal opinion. So,
well, I'm looking at my emails to see now. My email.
I also sent you today's broadcast. Did you get that too?
What? The only thing I
sent you the whole show with the whole interview.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. You want to play that?
Yeah, let's play some of that.
Okay, let's play some of that and tell me when to stop. Now, where the hell is it? Here it is, right here.
And welcome to the Harness Racing Alumni Show. I'm Freddy Hudson. I'm here with Trade Martin and Bob Marks. And joining us today is Standardbred owner and breeder, Don Tiger. Don, welcome back to the Harness Racing Alumni Show.
Great to be with you guys. Things are heating up. It's early June. We got 2-year-olds starting to come out. Fun time of the year for harness racing for sure, and just a good time for racing in general.
Don, what is the latest on the Charlie May saga?
Yeah, Charlie May saga. We're back. We filed some stuff in the last couple weeks. I mean, I hate to use this case justifying Ruiz out in California, but that took like 7 years to adjudicate. I'm not saying that's how long this is or is not going to take, but I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, we did win in a court of law. I think that's very important to discuss. Is that we had a judge listen to all the evidence and he ruled in our favor. Obviously, the New Jersey Racing Commission very stingy and does not want to acknowledge that result. So it's a battle that will continue. But we have recently done some stuff, and again, they're oblivious to what's happening. Also, they're starting to. The commission seems to be getting a little more involved with some of the nefarious activity that stemmed from the March of 2020 indictments. There's been some more people that have got recently sanctioned / banned from the industry, fined, and believe it or not, that does tie in indirectly because there was a lot of people that were indirectly or directly involved with the case that either have been removed from office or there is incriminating evidence against them. So we'll see how it plays out, but I mean it's still full speed ahead. And again, recently we just did some stuff. So,
are you on the state level in this litigation or the federal level now?
That's a good question. I don't know. My counsel kind of is always looking at different things that involve this. I believe that we're still trying to stay to the state level. However, the federal level is obviously on the plate too. I think it's like a chess match, to be frank. I think, we move a piece, they move a piece, we move a piece, and obviously we want to put them in check and then possibly mate. Still a long battle. I mean, again, I'm not expecting anything this year. I would expect there'll continue to be dialogue, and we'll just keep pushing forward. But it's in the rearview mirror per se, but it'll just like the Ruiz case and Justify. I think that was 2018. I think that thing got adjudicated last year. It eventually, the court systems, no matter how you play it, whether it's fed, state, appellate, they have to at some point in time come back and do something to finish the case off. So, we'll see. We'll take it day by day and see. But I mean, again, nothing's changed. The facts of the case haven't changed, which is great. So now it's just a matter of how we adjudicate it and when we adjudicate it. It's always been my goal, as you know, just to win the race, not even necessarily the purse. Is just to be acknowledged as the winner of that race. So we'll see. I mean, we're just going to keep pushing forward, and unfortunately or fortunately, I have to let counsel do what they have to do, and kind of go from there.
How much money have you sunk into this now in the litigation?
The good news is it's been very light the last couple of years, mainly just filing fees and stuff, because I've had some really good people working on my case that have done it pro bono and, for basically contingency. So it's been great. But, so that's the good part. I haven't been reaching in my pocket of late, but, I mean, the early years, 21 and 22, I mean, we're talking excess of 6 figures, Right. But I had to do it and had to keep doing it because it's not even just as much for me or the horse. It's more for the industry. I mean, we talk about this privately, and obviously me, you, and Bob talk about this a lot. The industry is in a bad place, and, it's self-inflicted. So I think they're making some positive steps. I think it might be too late, but, I mean, the big thing that you have to understand out there's a lot of money that does come from horse racing, but there's also a lot of money from the states and the casinos that go into horse racing. And you're constantly battling, bureaucrats who looked that they could proportion that money from state level. Like in my state, Pennsylvania, for years, the governor and they've tried to move that money into education, schooling, housing, road infrastructure, whatever. And, they've been thwarted a couple times. But sooner or later, if you've got an industry that has all the problems we do that can't kind of, adjudicate itself, I mean, I do see at some point in time them losing funding. Look at Florida with the decoupling. They used to race dogs down there. Now they have no dogs. Now they're down to one thoroughbred track. And, that could go away. And, I mean, that's a big thoroughbred track with a big winter meet. So I don't know. But I don't think it's safe. Anybody in racing should not feel safe. And, if and when it happens, it'll continue to have a domino effect. So I guess we'll just see what happens. But one of the things I think I've tried to do is let's clean it up. Let's get the bad apples out of the industry. Let's start to set up rules on all levels and let everybody play on the same playing field. That's all.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your stable a little bit now. What's your stable consist of now, breeding-wise and racing-wise?
Yeah, I only own the brood mare, so I breed her back every year, and I get a baby every year, and that's my stable. I don't have any horses outside of her, and she throws a baby every year. Obviously, the two horses I still have in training are Charlie May and Shane Falco, both doing extremely well. Some bad luck of late, which we'll get into in a little bit, but they're doing well. But really excited. I have a 2-year-old pacing colt named Mickey May. Ironically, I named him kind of after Charlie May. I said, well, it's an always be Mickey, so I named it Mickey May, which is Pennsylvania bred, which steps out of my comfort level a little bit. I've pretty much bred all these horses to Ohio bred stallions because I love racing in Ohio. But the report cards are amazing on him. We're very excited. I'm not sure he's the next Charlie May or the next Shane Falco, but we're going to see. But he's exciting. And those are the only 3 horses I have in training. I do have a down by the seaside on the ground. And let's see what else we have down on the ground. We have I'm drawing a blank, but there was another horse, a Ohio bred stallion that we bred to last year that I have a colt from too. So I got a couple on the ground. And we're back in foal to Monty Mickey. So some exciting stuff as far as that goes. Yep. Okay.
Now you had that Pelican Owl. Whatever happened to him?
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't make the races. I did sell him as a yearling for, I think, $105,000, something like that. And I was real excited about him because I named him after my friend Al Mezes, who passed away from COVID. I almost thought about keeping the horse, but just some very nice breeding with the down by the seaside. And the stable CA bought the horse, never really. I got some report cards, and I know he had some gait problems, and then really haven't followed up with him, but he's never qualified, never made the races. So very unfortunate because he was a good-looking individual too. So.
Yeah. So now you just have Shane Falco and Charlie May racing. Shane Falco, he's racing in Kentucky?
No, I just moved him up to Ohio. I have a guy, Terry DeSico, working for me now. Terry's phenomenal. He came up under Hervé. He was a New York guy, and he moved to Kentucky. And more of a hands-on guy, small stable, 3 to 5 horses. That's exactly what I like. I like somebody that's very hands-on. And he went down to Kentucky. And when we, I sent Charlie May out for the Borgata series, got a lot of checks over there, but wasn't successful in the whole series. And we ended up bringing him back home. And when I was getting ready to bring him back home, I kind of talked to Terry about it because it was one of those things I had to kind of do quickly to get ready for the Battle of Lake Erie. And he wanted to take on the task. And I said, man, that's great. And he says, how about if I move to Ohio? So he packed up his bags. He's moved him and his wife up to Ohio and couldn't be happier. He only has 3-4 head. He wants to keep his numbers down like that so we can concentrate on the horses. And just a phenomenal situation. And, so far so good. I mean, I like where both horses are sitting. But, yeah, Shane qualified last week in 55 flat over at Scioto. and then he got sick a couple of days after the race. He since has bounced out of it, so I'll probably be entering him this week for Northfield. He fits a nice condition race up Northfield. And same sickness. We had a sickness in the barn. Charlie, he caught sick, but he's doing well now too, and probably enter him for an overnight at Scioto. And then looking to get back to New Jersey for hopefully the Brower and the Houghton, if it all works out.
Okay. And so what else is on the schedule?
Well, I have the same schedule as last year, pretty much for Charlie. It's easy because there's a lot of good Ohio-bred races here. And, you know, it's basically for anybody, because I do get a lot of calls. People call, text all the time, when am I going to see him? He's still a big fan favorite, which I'm going to get into in a second because there's a real cool story to talk about the fan favorite. But I would say it's a mirror schedule. The only thing that was really weird that got derailed is there's a few races that I really just pick out every year that mean a lot to me. One of those is the Battle of Lake Erie. And I had him out east, and, you know, I had been in talk with Dave Bianconi a couple of times, and I had a spot. He goes, oh, yeah, you're good. And, you know, after the Borgata series, I did the right thing. We raced 6 weeks in a row with Charlie. I just gave him a week out in the field, let him grass, let him get, you know, his legs under him. And then also I even sent him up just to the clinic where he swims and takes it easy for a couple of days. And then I brought him back to Ohio, and, you know, Dave called and said, you still good for the battle? I said, oh, yeah, I'm still good for the battle. I'm going to get a tune-up race in on Saturday, and then we'll be up the following Saturday. So I was pretty excited. And, you know, I talked to Brett Miller. He wanted to go drive him in the battle, which ironically Brett did win the battle on a different horse, so good for him. Congrats. But, you know, I went out and I raced in the battle, and I'm like, I raced in the overnight. I told Dave we were good to go, and I got a text that said I was disinvited. So that really was kind of a gut punch, because I'm like, how do you get disinvited from something? I mean, no call, no explanation, no nothing. And this kind of tells you about how the sport is. Us on the panel, bunch of us, we all know racing, highs and lows. I mean, you get horses get sick, quarter cracks, bad post draws. Like, it's a game that there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and so we're hitting a real low. You know, like, hey, we came home specifically for the battle because I was invited to the Camluck Classic. I passed. I said, no, I'm going to the battle. I was probably going to get an invite over to the Auger or the undercard over there, and I passed on that just to get them home. And then your home kind of town, you know, turns their back on you. I know the horses' lines weren't great, but what Dave did was unacceptable. I mean, it's his ball, his rules, so he can do what he wants. But again, the only reason I'm prefacing this is because, like anything, I kind of stepped backwards, got a little kick in the mouth. So this is how the Lord works in very mysterious ways. I'm at work on Monday, and I get this email. Very important. I get this email from Amy May. So this Amy May reaches out to me, and she says, hey, I'm not looking for, you know, any financial planning a house. I just want to let you know that me and my husband, every year we go to the Meadowlands Pace. It's kind of like their date night. And I found out these folks live in Freehold, New Jersey. So they bet on Charlie May and the Pace, and they won, and then they lost. And it was tough. It was very hard. So then they keep going back every year, and in 2023, they were back there. Obviously, same post position, same bet. They bet Charlie May again, and that's when he upset on the Meadowlands Pace undercard. And I don't even know what he paid. I think he paid $60, $80 or something like that. And they got married that year in 2023, but they were having massive problems getting pregnant. They had a lot of fertility problems. So when Charlie May won the Houghton, these folks, they even in the email here sent this to me, said that they gave us hope. And it said, hey, you know, here's somebody that came back. So, you know, they this is the exact word. They felt Charlie May was an inspiration to keep pushing forward to becoming our parents, to becoming our goal of being parents. Their daughter was born last June, so June of 24, and they named the daughter Charlie May. So just what a heartwarming story. And I reached out to this young lady because she gave me her phone number. And again, you know, I'm a guy that played sports in college and high school, minor league baseball. I've had a lot of fun, and I consider myself kind of a hard, tough guy at times. And I'm just crying listening to this story, but talking to this young couple from Freehold, New Jersey, and then seeing pictures and having the perseverance to name a horse like Charlie May. And where the irony comes in this whole story is me and my wife had extreme fertility problems to try to get pregnant. And anyone that knows the real backstory with Charlie May, Stipple Hanover, when we first tried to get her pregnant the first time to I'm blanking even on the stallion that Charlie's sire is. But we tried, and we were down to it was June, and they were not doing any more collections. And I kept saying, like to the breeder, he's like, we're just gonna, we got to get rid of this horse. We can't breed this horse anymore. And I'm like, we got to do something. And we did a live cover, the very last cover of McCardle. We got overnighted, and Charlie May got pregnant. So I mean, like, for Charlie May to have fertility problems, me and my wife to have fertility problems, and the Mays to have fertility problems, kind of brings us all together. And I think the really cool part for me is like, this is something where, Charlie May might race 6 months, 2 years, 4 years, and he's going to retire. But this young little girl is going to be growing up and having a big life, and it's always going to be a remembrance of him. And, man, I think that's super cool, but really cool story.
Yeah, Don, was that the favorite fan story?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so.
I mean, it's just it's like I said, these are folks that don't go to the track on a daily basis. That's their date night, kind of like, there's certain people like me. I always go to the Breeders' Cup for thoroughbred racing. It's just something I do, whether, it's in California or Kentucky. I just go, and it's kind of like a family thing. A lot of us, friends and family always go. We get a box, and so it's what these folks do. They've been going to the Meadowlands Pace night for a date night for, ever, and now they're married, and now they have a little baby. But to say that Charlie May was an inspiration because of what happened to him, and then how he, basically, I don't want to say reversed fortunes. A lot of people always believe that him winning the Houghton was kind of like, karma, divine intervention, however you call it. Cool, but to hear a story like that, especially when you're starting to be one of those lows, you get left out of the Battle of Lake Erie, and you're thinking, man, this stinks. I had a race, I planned all this stuff, and all of a sudden you get picked right back up, and you're back up in the sky with the clouds, and you realize that the good Lord's connecting people. Just really cool. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. Don, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think that's
okay.
good. It's good catching up with you guys. It's been a while. I mean, obviously, I hope that some of this stuff, the commission start to clean house, start to take a little bit better care of what's going on. Because, again, horse racing's anywhere between 14 to 18% takeouts. If you go make a bet on a sporting event like the Oilers and Panther series, or you're playing 10% takeout. So, like, they're up against it. People want to pull one-arm banded slot machines. Horse racing just isn't. Some of the statistics, if you just eyeball it, are starting to go negative again as far as handles go, outside of the big days with, like, the Belmont and Kentucky Derby. But, I mean, if you look at the statistics, even on the USTA website, it looks like it's negative, and it'll continue that trend unless we get a better product. So, hopefully some people that are listening to this taking some heed that there's a lot of good stories like the Charlie May story out there, and maybe people can start to fix things to get it going in the right direction.
Yep. Well, with that, I'm going to close the show out. Don't go away. And I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Larry,
today.
I guess you can close it off now.
Okay. We're back, me and you, Freddie.
I know. So that was Don Tiger and talking about Charlie May. And
What happened to the purse money? Where's the purse money?
the purse money was distributed to the horse that finished second in there. I don't remember who that was at this particular point. They distributed the purse money. The purse money's already been distributed. So,
all right. Well, let me put this picture up. It's a handsome picture.
Now I'm looking over. Gordon is really just put a message up here. Gordon Freeman, great person. He's Cheyenne Racing Stable, was with Dave Dunkley going back years ago, Robbie Siegelman. But what Gordon is saying is they never interviewed the drivers after the race. They never interviewed them. And the statement that was pretty much made was like, well, the drivers would just lie anyhow. They never interviewed the drivers, and they should have.
Who were
because
the judges? Who were the judges? Do you know?
that was Peter was the Peter was the judge. Peter's a good guy, but I think that they were under pressure because of it was Fox. They were running overtime, and so they rushed the whole thing. And I mean, even if you watch the Fox tape, like the governor is supposed to present the trophy, and they didn't even show the governor presenting the trophy because they had to switch over to the other program. They should have reviewed it a lot more than what they did. So they should have reviewed it. And when you watch, I've spoken to several presiding judges that have watched the race, and all of them have said that Charlie May should have never come down. He should have never come down. Now, who should have come down was Southwind Gentry. He came to a stop. And if Larry, you've raced horses, I've raced horses. And when you see a driver yell that he's in trouble and you're in back of him and you think he's going down, you pull on that right line to get away from him.
Hey, Freddie, do you want to see? You know what happened? The last race I ever drove in my life was in 2006. And the girl who owned the last two horses I had that I stabled in that epoxic stall that I built, well, the guy, my partner at that time with the epoxic stalls, owned the last two horses I had. We had them stabled in them stalls, and we were experimenting with them as far as their blood went, how long it took for the blood to be built up,
Right.
because it mimicked epigen, only naturally. So we kept them in there for a while, and I in Willetstown, I think, hadn't raced in over a year. So the last two races I raced in my life were these two horses that we stabled in them stalls as we were building them. And I got a call 2 days ago that the owner, my friend, found a DVD of the race of one of them called Search Mission, and they sent it to me, and my friend converted them to where I was able to get them on. Do you want to see the last race I ever drove? Can you?
Okay.
You can't see it, right? You can't see.
I can see it. I see you.
Oh, you do?
Nobody
Okay.
can see me.
All right, let me play the last race because he just put it on. How the hell do I do this? Let's see. This is the last race I ever drove in my life. Okay, here it comes. It's at the Meadowlands. The Meadowlands, 2006.
That's a trot.
Yes, it is.
And start of the Daily Double. Here they come. Up and trotting, lukewarm favorite Saintly Image, that lone mare being hustled out of there, but it's Search Mission and Larry Rolla gunning to the front. He's a Blizzard from the outside, and on the rail, our Money Burner is showing alert trot into third. Around the first turn, it's Search Mission. Larry Rolla and Search Mission. Trots on, takes the lead. Saintly Image, she settles in the second spot. A quick start there. Our Money Burner, a good start. Clear in third. Gap of 2 lengths. Whip urging for Ebba's Yankee fourth. He's a Blizzard, looks to slide in fifth. And parked out is Miracle Yankee trying to go up sixth. Then it's Streetwise Hall and Marianne's Diamond at the back. 28 4/5 for Search Mission up front here. 10-1 dictates the terms. Saintly Image, Pocket Ride. 2.5 lengths to Our Money Burner third up the backside, heading towards the half, and Ebba's Yankee is an anxious fourth half in, half out there. The Catman still parked with Miracle Yankee, inching up steadily fifth on the outside, and Platino pulls with Ebba's Yankee. That'll give the Catman cover with Miracle Yankee fifth past the half. Then it's He's a Blizzard, jammed in sixth. Up on the outside comes Marianne's Diamond, follows the flow third over, followed by Streetwise Hall. Half was 58 2/5, a 29-3 stroll in that second quarter. Larry Rolla here rating Search Mission up front, getting his own way. Search Mission, rocky gated on those turns there, gets pressure from Ebba's Yankee on the outside. Ebba's Yankee comes calling and attacks Search Mission on the outside. Here comes Ebba's Yankee with Saintly Image in the box there. Miracle Yankee trying to rally from second over. Marianne's Diamond will fan out as well. Our Money Burner on the inside looks for room. 127 3 into the stretch. It's been Search Mission from the start. Game first over, Ebba's Yankee on the outside. Room at the rail for Saintly Image. Off cover comes Miracle Yankee in heavy traffic. Our Money Burner and He's a Blizzard is blocked as well. Search Mission almost home. Wire to wire. Search Mission does it. Search Mission shocks these over Ebba's Yankee. Very game second. The show spot.
That was my last race. That was my last race. He was in the first race. He went off, I think, 10-1. We bet the double, hit the double. It was a good night. It was a good night. He's a little hairy behind. He wasn't a sound horse, but he had some problems that were going to be with him for the rest of his life. I just got him. That was the first race I think I ever raced him. But he wasn't a sound horse. He was sound enough to race. You could see him like a jackrabbit behind. But anyway, he got the job done, and the hypoxic stalls and the other horse, Willetstown, win. I think I raced with him the week before, and he win too. But they didn't have a film of him. This was in 2006. So that was my last race. So let's go to some of these comments here. Let's just run down and say hello, because every time I don't, they scream. Okay, Angelique. Hello, Freddie, Larry, and Rick. Hi, Angelique.
Hi,
Eric.
Angelique.
Angelique, I voted for you over the two. Last week, I put two girls' pictures on, and I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, Eric says that he voted for you instead of them two. That was very nice. Okay, Big Bones BB. Good evening, all. Good evening, Big Bones BB. And Big Bones says hello to Angelique. And Pat says, hiya, Angelique. Hi, guys. Good evening. Good evening. David Arthur. Evening, all. Good evening, David. Sundance. Hi, Larry. Hi, Rick. Sundance been through a lot, too. A lot of health problems. Good kid. Good kid. Okay. Let's see. Pat. Larry fixed lots more than races. People's problems, people's illnesses. A guy you'd be blessed to have on your side. Well, thank you, Pat.
That's a nice compliment.
Yeah, that's very nice. I should print that out and frame it. Yeah, that's nice. Thanks, Pat. Okay, Pat. Hello, Sundance. You as well. Okay. Chlorine dioxide will cure cancer. Well, I don't know. I know there's probably a lot of things out there that will cure cancer, but you're not going to know about it. Sundance. Pat Coogan, Larry was the best person. Larry was the best person I ever worked for. Well, I can't put that on a plaque because she used to work for me. So,
Hey, Larry, how many tracks did you race at? If you can think.
Did I race at?
Yeah. We know Yonkers, Roosevelt, Monticello, Freehold.
Yonkers. Well,
The, up to
99% of the time I was in Monticello. I started off at Roosevelt, then Yonkers, Yonkers and Roosevelt, Yonkers and
Right.
Roosevelt. And then when Tannenbaum barred me, for them the next 3-4 years, whatever it was, I hit every Mickey Mouse racetrack in the world. Every one. I don't think I missed one. Every 3 months I was at a different racetrack. And thank God for Ali DeSimone. He used to ship me. I had no money. He shipped me for free. It was just
good people.
yeah. And so I've been through them all. Probably the worst one was maybe Green Mountain, only because it was so cold and the track was frozen. And then when it thawed out, you know how I used to float the track at Green Mountain when it thawed out? They would get the big tractor and chain 2 big tractor tires behind it, and that's how they floated the track. And the track was up halfway up the horse's tendon. You couldn't wear any boots or nothing. And they raced. I think I won a race with Mr. Spindletop. I won the feature race in 129 or something like that. And there were a couple of guys up there. I think maybe even Eddie Lohmeyer was there once. I might be wrong. I remember Lonnie Beer was there. It was me, Lonnie Beer, Harold Story, Gabe Bonacci, I don't know, a couple other guys. But I've been to all of them small tracks. Lincoln
Now Harold Story is an interesting person.
Yeah, he sure is. I could. You see, the problem is I have so many stories, but every time I tell a story that's a little, a little off color, I get a phone call from a family member or say something and saying he might be dead, but why don't you leave him alone? But they're interesting stories. They're things. Like one night, and I think I told this once before, and Lonnie Beer's brother, I think, listens once in a while. And but what happened was we set up a race at Green Mountain. You had no choice. I mean, the purses were $500. I mean, it was ridiculous. But anyway, and the lights went out. All the lights went out. And the only thing that was lit up on the racetrack was the front part of the stretch because of the grandstand. So Lonnie told the judge they didn't want to cancel the races, and we didn't want them to cancel the races. So they come with an idea. Lonnie Beer did that all the parking lot was the whole backstretch. And he just made everybody who owned a car back there turn their lights on, and the headlights lit up the whole back stretch at Green Mountain Park, and we raced, and we cashed the bets and shut the lights back off. Anyway, there's a million of them stories, but a lot of them guys are still alive. A lot of their families are still alive. I mean, the stories of Mike Gagliotti that they're so interesting. And so unbelievable. Benny Webster, them stories are so unbelievable. But it's my whole life is an open book because I decided I got an offer to write the book and possibly a movie and a TV series, and I took that and I did it. But I have a problem talking about other people if it wasn't already in a newspaper. I mean, I have some great stories about Davy Marshall, that really nice kid got killed, up in Route 17. Got a lot of good stories, but every time I tell one that, I think the only one that didn't get mad was Jerry Silverman, but I asked him permission to say it. But I mean, I got a lot of stories like the Jerry Silverman story with Habib. So, but and I'm sure you do too. And I'm sure
I'll tell you one about Gag. And so Gag had me race a horse from down at Freehold. And so he told me, he said, hey, the horse has one brush to him. If you use it leaving, that's your brush. And if you use it at the end, that's your brush. Race him accordingly. And so I think I had the 7 or 8 posts with him. I get away 8. And we're going down the backside, and everyone pulls out. Everyone just pulls out. And so I just shoot right up on the inside. And I'm now second on the inside behind the guy cutting the mile out. And if I get some luck in here, I got a shot to pick up a good check or even win the race. Well, the guy who's cutting it, he dies in front of me as we're going down this stretch. It's like a wall of horses. I got a ton of horse, and I got no place to go. So I finished 4th or 5th with them. And I tell Gag afterwards, I said, Gag, if I get out, I win this race by 3-4 lengths. I said, if I left with him, I win this race. Gag says to me, he says, well, next time he races, you got 200 on him. So I didn't see Gag for several weeks. I'm now racing the horse over at the Meadowlands, and Gag's racing at the Meadowlands. He comes up to me, takes me to the side, and says, boom, he hands me $1,800. He says, that horse won this next start out, and here's your cut. So
Yeah.
That's my story with Gag. So
Yeah, I probably got 100 of them stories, and I got 100 more stories about Mike. Lonnie Beer, stories about him. Lot of great stories. I just don't want to. I don't want to offend anybody. I'll talk about myself and what I did, but if you notice, I don't. The only names I ever mentioned were names that were in the newspaper already. All right, DL says, I've used horse ivermectin on myself. Now, Freddie, for years, that's what we used to worm horses. But during COVID, they found out that ivermectin is a parasite killer that also kills viruses and cancer and all the parasites that are in your system. And DL says he used ivermectin on himself, and I have 2 tubes of it because when I first was starting and research all this stuff, the first thing I did was call a harness supply, and I asked for two tubes of it, and I knew that there were probably 5 doses in there because you take 20% of it. You give a 1,000-pound horse the whole tube, you just take 20% of it. So I knew I had 5 doses. I had 10 doses because I got 2 tubes. But then I got lucky and I found the surgeon that gave me the pill form ivermectin. But DL, it's good stuff. It's good stuff, and every day that it's not approved by the FDA. So I don't think you're going to get. I don't know. It's just tough to get. And the stuff that's on the internet, and most of it is bootleg stuff. I mean, you don't even know the right dose to take. But anyway, Eric says, I won't take any medical advice from Joe Rogan. His brain is fried from all the mushrooms he is smoking. Well, I could tell you one thing. He has probably the biggest podcast ever in the history of podcasts. He's he put together this show. He's been on about 10 years now. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And if smoking mushrooms is what it takes, I should have started that 20, 30 years ago. Because I don't do drugs, I don't smoke mushrooms, and I have a podcast, and this podcast cost me about close to $1,000 a year just to put up to have some fun, and I think I make about $8 a month on the podcast, and most of the time I get demonetized because I'm always playing copyrighted music. So Eric, good for Joe.
You got to start using trades music.
Yeah, well, yeah. In fact, I have a bunch of albums. The problem is all the albums I got from trade, they're on CDs, and nobody has a CD player. You don't know what I went through to get that one race I just showed of me. It was on a DVD. Try to find somebody that has a DVD player.
He's got the Roosevelt Raceway song and Soaky Driver are two good songs that that fit very well with what we do.
Well, I gotta get him. I don't know. You got to tell him to send them to me, and however you send
We'll
this.
we'll do that. We'll do that.
All right. Okay. What else was I going to say? And Eric, let me just say this about Joe Rogan. I don't know him personally, and I don't think you know Joe Rogan personally, but he's a pretty sharp guy. He's a very, very smart guy. And he has a lot of connections, a lot of major connections. And I wouldn't mind taking any kind of advice from him, because for years and years and years, I took a lot of medical advice that turned out to be wrong. And when medical doctors today don't recognize alternative treatments for anything and just stick to what they learned, I'll listen to Joe Rogan. I may not follow what he says, but I'm going to listen, because he reaches a whole lot farther than you and me, Eric. So I just wish I was younger, because I'd ask him where you get these mushrooms at. And speaking of mushrooms, I heard from a friend of mine, and I don't know if this is true because I never took a drug in my life, that mushrooms really, really help. They're good for the brain or something, and they really, I don't know. I shouldn't talk about it because I don't know what I'm talking about. But somebody told me that mushrooms are really good. They're really, but it's illegal, but they could really help. Anyway,
Hey, Larry, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The driving style now is you see the guys all leaning back, and they're loose lining the horses, and I mean, like, they're just leaning straight back. How do you think that would have went over if you raced that way 40, 50 years ago against some of the guys like Clint Hodgins, Houghton, Dancer? What do you think they would have said to you if you were raced that way?
Well, first of all, first thing is, I just want to say this before I forget, because I got to say things as soon as they come into my mind, otherwise I forget, because the memory pills are not working yet. So, but Gagliotti, who started this leaning back stuff 30 years before any of these kids today started it, that's how he drove. That's how he sat in the bike. You could see my last race. I was sitting straight up and down.
Straight up.
I was sitting straight up and down mostly because you had to just keep a hold of this horse. I mean, he was tricky to drive, and you just couldn't turn him loose. So I had to just sit up and pay attention. But Gagliotti, everybody drove like that. Gagliotti was the first one that started leaning back, and that was his style. And many, many times he got fined by the judges for they said not having control of his horse. And many times horses took a stumble or something, and they went down because of that style. But I think if I would have pulled that when Clint Hodges, as soon as I come off the racetrack, he probably would have knocked me out. Probably would have said, if you want to drive like that, go someplace else, not around here. And I think any one of them guys would have said the same thing. Don't forget, back then, when you sat in the seat, when you sat in the race bike, my dog wants to get down. Okay, buddy, go ahead. When you sat in a race bike, the buckle for the handholds were right on the horse's ass, and you could hit the horse's ass. You could touch the horse's ass. Nowadays, from the horse's ass, from the horse's tail to you sitting in the bike is 4 or 5 feet, where before you were right there. And the problem was, the only problem that we ever had was the width of the bike. With certain trotters or paces that went real wide behind, you had to get a high bike and a wide bike, because they were right there. And many times the horse's foot would reach beyond the seat that you're sitting on, because they were so far back. And the only thing you had to worry about was them hitting the frame of the bike when they were going. Today, before you could you couldn't sit in a sulky and touch a horse. You
Yeah.
couldn't.
Well, how many times did a horse swipe its tail swipe you in the face?
Yeah.
Nowadays the tails don't even come close to your face.
Yeah.
And so when when you look at it from that perspective, it's a little bit different. Than the bikes were, if you remember the bikes before they came out with the modified sulkies, how you used to get into a bike, you had to sit on the seat and then you had to swing your legs around and you had to hold yourself over. It was a lot different than just the way that you sit into the bikes now.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'm going back to the bikes, in the early 70s and the late 60s. Those are the bikes that I started out with. And the stirrups back then, you had to wear boots because they were actual stirrups that your foot fit right into.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have boots, you'd get blisters on your feet. So
yeah, I remember when I first started too. In the 50s, they had them little wooden mountain bikes.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. These kids today, they're lucky in one way, but every one of them is completely talented and fearless. So you have to give them a lot of credit.
Oh yeah. You have to. Yeah, I think Lucien Fontaine worded it best. Different generations drive differently, and you can't really compare the two. And like these guys are just as talented as everyone was back then, and everyone back then is just as talented as these guys are.
Yeah.
And it's a different style of racing. We could back then, or if we tried racing the horses the way that they raced, the horses would fall down. I mean, they just couldn't take it because they weren't as bred. They weren't as bred as well as they are now. The breeding is just really, really stepped up on these horses. And it was a lot different. It was a lot different. And many. If we go back and we look at Nat Ray, he's the driver who won the first Hamiltonian in 1926, and he in I'm going to say 53, I could be off. He's racing a horse at Roosevelt Raceway. He leaves with the horse falls down. He's in a major accident. He's in his 70s at that time. He comes back. And he's now racing at a race at Yonkers, and it's the last race that he ever drove in. Going down the stretch, boom, the horse falls down. He gets this was like in November, and he had head injuries, and he died the following February from those head injuries. That was, he was a great horseman. He was very much in the same category as a Houghton. He had raced thoroughbreds. He had raced the quarter horse. He raced every type, and he trained thoroughbreds as he was racing and training standardbreds. But it was just a shame the way that he died. And so, but anyhow, went into a different direction there. So,
well, DL says get her on ivermectin and flambendazole. It'll cure the cancer in about 3 to 6 months. And I believe he's right. And from what I hear, it wouldn't even take that long. But I agree. I can't wait for my next blood test, that special test they give you, because I haven't taken anything now I took it for 10 straight days, and my test went from having cancer to having no cancer with 2 really sophisticated blood tests. One I had to pay privately for $1,000, and it come back nothing at all. So, and I took that for 10 days. So I'm waiting to see now. Next month I have to take another test. I wait 2 weeks for the results, and I'm going to see if that comes back completely clean. That means the 10 days of me taking these products, it worked. So we'll see. And if it did, if it came back or they still showed a trace, that means I'll just continue taking it. Okay, Pat, not trying to be funny. I came in 2-3 minutes after the stream started. Who is Rick? Rick is a guy that his mother has cancer, and I gave him all the information to a doctor, Meek, I think his name is. And in the first 10, 15 minutes of the show, I had him come on and explained what happened with the people I asked him to call. And so that was that all about. If you have time later and you're interested in that, just watch the replay. It'll be on YouTube, and that's what that was all about. Rick and his mother. Okay, let's see. What's Pat's have to say? Richest country on earth, at least we were, and the cancer rates are obviously obscenely high. Affects mostly the liver. You're right. You're right. But I have to say this. When I was involved in the 70s and 80s, alternative therapy was probably maybe 10% of recommended treatment for cancer. 80%, 90%, all the doctors called it quackery, and they wouldn't even talk about it, including my friend Dr. Burton. And now alternative therapies are probably 80 to 90% of treatment. So they're finally opening their eyes to things that could really help, like ivermectin. Okay, let's see. Pat again. I remember a rule where a winning horse, if it was off stride crossing the wire, would be taken out of the money, even if the horse won by several lengths and didn't interfere with anybody. I don't remember that. Do you, Freddie?
I thought it had to be a lapped on break.
Yeah, it had to be lapped on, even if the horse was in front by one full length and not lapped on, he would stay up.
Right, as long as he came back. As long as he came back.
Unless, say, he made a break 20 feet before the wire, but he was 10 lengths ahead of the rest of the field. But the driver never tried to restrain him or take him back, just let him run. Then he would be disqualified.
Absolutely.
He was straining, taken back. Then it would be up to the judges. But
I remember making breaks with many horses, getting them back on stride and being right in the race again. Nowadays, it seems like I think it's because they don't have the control of the horses like we used to, that they can't get them back on stride. The horses just seem to run the whole mile after they make a break. So,
okay, what's this say? Jeffrey B. Horse racing people think dirty old men. Horse racing people think dirty old men. Maybe the new Belmont will bring people back. Okay, I guess what he's saying is that, but most people think that just it's the old people that go to. I think he's right. So maybe Belmont will bring people back.
Yeah,
we'll see. Okay, Jeffrey B. How Monticello hung on this long surprises me. Yeah. Jeffrey, I'm probably the youngest guy listening to this, and I'm 55. You're right. You know, Jeffrey, it's amazing because we talk about we have no idea when we're going on what we're going to talk about. And after I did the first 20 or 30 podcasts, and each podcast was a chapter in my book, and I start telling them stories, I ended it. And it was only because of guys like Freddie and Anthony and Joey and Tommy and Eddie that made me continue doing this. And now I do it just to have something to do rather than just sit in a rocking chair. And because of this, I've gotten people who I haven't seen in 60, 70 years, 50 years, gotten in touch with me because I give my phone number out over the podcast and everything. And I get calls from people I haven't seen in 40, 50, 60 years. And so it's great. And and so that's why I do it. But you're right. Who's the same people come on every day, every week, and that's okay. I do it. We have fun. I haven't seen some of the guys that come on. I haven't seen it in a long time, and it's just good. And not only this, but then we talk during the week too. So it's good. It's good.
Hey, Larry,
What?
I'm going to point out, I see John Higgin. He put up there, "Hi, Larry. I spoke with the new owners of Freehold Raceway today. Would love to talk to you about it. Thanks. Great show."
New owners of Freehold Raceway. They saw it. They knocked it down.
Well, no, the new owners just bought it just recently. So it's some new owners. And so if he spoke with the owners, that would be something very interesting to talk about.
Well, where is this thing?
That's on the bottom. It's one of the at 9:26 p.m. it came in. John Higgin.
John Higgins?
Higgin, Higgin.
Oh, God, there's a lot of things here. Oh, yeah, here, let's see. Hi, Larry. I spoke with the new owners of Freehold Raceway today. Would love to talk to you about it. Thanks. Great show. Okay, John, my phone number is 201-400-3485. And just call me and we'll talk. I thought they knocked the place down.
No, not yet. They just bought it, so they I guess they just finalized it. I'm just going to say this week. So,
All right, John. My phone number again is 201-400-3485. I think that's it. That's it, right, Freddie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
I don't know what your number is. I just hit Larry.
These pills. I got these memory pills. When I went for the memory test, the doctor gave me a bunch of questions. He says I failed every one. So, but I remember certain things. All right, now we have to get back to where we was. So, let's see. Where were we? Oh God, I don't remember. I should have marked it where we were.
Okay. Well, we've been on for over an hour and a half, so
that's long enough, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I have a fly flying around here. I don't know how the hell he got in. I had all new windows put in my house, all new windows, all new everything, screen doors, 17 new windows, 4 new doors, and there's a fly. All right, Freddie.
Put one of those sticky things up, Larry.
What, hang it from my hand? No, I'll don't worry. As soon as I sign off here, that fly ain't got long to live. Okay, let me just go down. Let's see. I remember a trotter went into a pace and what's this say? I remember a trotter went into a pace and nobody saw it, but the judges qualified. That happened in New York. Yep. That happened in New York. The horse, I think, was on the rail and switched right down the stretch, switched onto a pace, right?
Yeah, I've seen that happen a couple of times. Maybe that was Phelan's horse. Oh gosh, what the hell was his name? So he had that one do that. I forget who it was, but
okay. Let's see what this is. Does anyone smoke mushrooms? Pretty sure you just swallow them. The image of Larry smoking them with Rogan has me LMFAO.
Laughing my fucking ass off.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's true. I don't do it. So I don't do it. A friend of mine owns one of them smoke shops, and I go down to see him every once in a while, and it's amazing to me. He sells everything. He sells everything from ice cream that's infused with this stuff, and and all kinds of chocolates and cakes and it's unbelievable the people that come in nonstop, and I guess they like it. They do it. I could never do it. One time I had one too many drinks and I just got a little dizzy, and I didn't like that feeling at all, not having complete control. And that's it. That's why I don't drink. When I go out, when I used to go out, and I went out every night, I'd get I tell the waitress or the waiter a half a shot of half a shot of Canadian Club and a full glass of club soda, and that would last me all night. And then I just put $100 on because I wouldn't drink, and I just leave $100 tip for the waitress. Okay, let's see. Let me just get. Okay, what's this say? Pat Coney, Larry took NyQuil one night. He thought he was Sundance. Larry took NyQuil one night. He thought he was overdosed. She's right. She's right. I can't take that stuff. My knees get weak. I can't take it. Let's see. Did we take this already? Sundance. Trainer Rice at Belmont has an older brother, Kurt Rice, apprentice of the year, but grew up much. He had to quit racing, sadly. Yeah, Linda Rice has a whole family that she has a good setup. They break.
Do you know when she was starting out, she was renting a condo over in New Jersey from Billy Houghton?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's going back many years ago. I know that from Billy Houghton Jr. told me the story about that.
And John Higgins says, "Oh my God, Harold Story, Gabe Bonacci, Lohmeyer, Costanzo, Donald Premack, Donald. I think it's Donald Premack, Tommy Lucento. Wow, yeah."
Well, I have the Harold Story book, which is an interesting read.
He was something, boy. He was something. 350 pounds of something. Okay, let's see. I'm just going through the. What's this say? Pat, Eric, yep. Huge scandal, and the guys could have gotten away if they weren't greedy. After the fourth race, they got a ticket with. I don't know what that's all about. It sounds interesting. Anyway, that's it. Guys, I'm tired. Freddie's tired. We're going to go. Freddie, thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you.
Larry.
And cheerio. And all you guys that are here, thanks for showing up. And I'll see you Tuesday. Tuesday, we're going to have Mario Marcelino on, my friend who got paralyzed from the neck down. And we're going to show a bunch of races that he was in just before he got paralyzed. And we're going to talk about that one race where he was in. I have the race. We're going to show it when the bit broke, and it was a little scary. We have that race, so we'll show.
Larry, talking about bits breaking. Did you ever have a bit break on you?
Yes, one time.
Yeah, I did too. It's really a strange feeling.
I had a break and I had a line break.
I was racing at Freehold, and I had fired this son of a bitch up, and I had the 7-post, and I planned on leaving with him. And as they just right before the gates were getting ready to open, both lines come back at me, and I'm like, okay, I know something's broke, but I can't see what it is. And so Ronnie Ingracio was on the outside of me. I yelled over to Ronnie. I said, "Ronnie, what broke? What broke?" And so he gives his horse a couple shots. And he looks over and he yells at me, "You're bit, Freddie. You're bit." And as the race went that way into the first turn, I went right into the outside fence. And I ended up jumping off the horse and jumping up by his head and pulling him up.
Yeah, well, you have to watch. It's a scary thing.
Oh, it's like driving a car and you have no steering wheel.
Yeah. Kelly Page says, "Can you please wish Mike, my dad, a happy birthday? He's a big fan of the show." Well, happy birthday, Mike, and many, many more. Happy, healthy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you for tuning in. And you too, Kelly Page. There's a Kelly. I wonder if Kelly Jones ever comes on. Poor Kelly Jones, my pal. Let's see. Did we read this one yet? The best scandal was 3 college kids who worked as tellers at Laurel who were caught changing pick 6 tickets after 4 of the races were won. Yeah, well, they were all kinds of gimmicks there. They were guys running around the grandstand buying up tickets, and yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. But the biggest thing was, and the guys who probably made the most money rather than the 10%ers were the guys that years ago they used to pick up all the, because if you remember way back, the tickets on the floor after the last race, you had, it was like a foot deep, and they used to pick up, these guys stay till after the last race and pick up all the tickets and then go and and see which ones, and a lot of times you throw away tickets. You guys made a lot of money.
They especially on Saturday nights with the when the fans came out that didn't know anything about betting, who had done all the place and show bets, and they didn't quite realize that they had won on place and show bets and had thrown the tickets away.
Okay, let's see. Pat again. My boss got fired, but the PPL. What's PPL mean? Who bet winners afterwards?
People, maybe.
My boss got fired, but
right. But the people who bet winners afterwards weren't paid. The people.
Okay. Sundance, Eric and Pat were you both tellers. Okay, they're having their own conversation. Dave Guy, 1602. Never used.
I'm talking about your race that you won.
Oh. Yeah, well, I didn't have to. He was in hand. He could have went around 3 more times. That's what that epoxic stall did. It means lack of oxygen, and that's just what it was. And the effects were exact same effects as Epigen, only naturally. And they couldn't bar it. It was all natural. If they barred my stall, they would have to bar any horse that didn't come from sea level. So they couldn't do it. I should do a whole show on Mind That Bird who come from 8,000 feet above sea level and win the Kentucky Derby. I should tell all them stories, but okay. Congratulations on your winning drive. That was a long, long time ago. Did you ever know this was going to be your last race? Yeah, I did. I did. I think I did. I think it was my last race. I don't even remember, because I know I got a bunch of horses together after that, or maybe it was before, when Eddie Palmieri was helping me. I don't remember. I don't remember. Maybe when them pills kick in, I'll remember. Okay, I think we got most of them. All the rest. Okay. All right, Freddie, thanks. I'll talk to you during the week.
Okay, Larry. Have a good night, and good night, everyone.
Good night. And
thanks for joining us.
Okay, guys. Thank you for showing up. What's Sundance? Is that Buddy Larry next to you? Yeah, he was sitting in a chair. I put the chair here, and he was sitting right here. I didn't think you could see him. Yeah, that was Buddy sitting next to me. Yeah. Yeah, where is he now? I think he went down. Oh, he's sleeping right behind me. He's too attached to me now. Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm done. Thanks you guys for showing up. And Rick, if you're still listening, please make that call. Let me know what they say. And that's it. See you guys. I'm going to play one of my favorite songs now. the song that was written for me called It's Getting Late. And here it is, and signing out. Thanks for watching.
Dump those grudges, ditch those judges, they're just weighing you down. Drop the haters, procrastinators, 'cause one man's smile is just another one's frown. When it's time for the end, ain't no warning, my friend. One day you're here, next stop the pearly gates. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Dump collections, self-reflections, they're just covered in dust. Why obsess, worry or stress? Just ask yourself, what's the fuss? When your doctor calls you on a Sunday afternoon, gonna be a blue Monday, you'll be howling at the moon. You know you never can cheat fate. Lighten up, it's getting late. Forget bling and glitter, text and Twitter. Don't need it to make my case. Say it old school, face to face. Dump the users, soul abusers, turn and walk away. Give yourself a kick in the ass, then raise your glass. Let's toast to the past and make the most of today. Keep the faith, rise above, do the things that you love. Find a reason every day to celebrate. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Blast, live it full, life goes fast. You're carrying around too much dead weight. All the simple things are all that matter. Lighten up, it's getting late. Oh, what the hell? IGL. Oh, lighten up, it's getting late.
Right.